Charleston celebrates its 350th anniversary this year, and to commemorate that, Charleston Pirate Tours brings you Charleston History Highlights. Hi, I'm Eric with Charleston Pirate Tours, and this is old Bob. We're down here along the marsh on the Isle of Palms today to talk a little pirate history. Every day when I start my pirate tour, I always ask people, do you know any pirates, ever heard of any pirates? And of course everybody mentions Blackbeard. So what is his history? Well, he's got an interesting history. The names this man has used is so hard to keep up with. I've actually read 11 different names this man was known to be called. And of course you probably have heard them a lot: Teach, Theach, Thatch, Thatcher, Drummond, just to name a few. But my hands down favorite book on Blackbeard was written several years ago by a friend of mine named Kevin Duffus, named The Last Days of Blackbeard the Pirate. Now this book is amazing because he did some extensive research and found out some fascinating things. Come to find out, none of the above mentioned names may even belong to him. The fact that he was born in Bristol, England, born in Jamaica, may also be false. So what did he discover in his research? Well, it finds out in his research that there was a man here in Charleston in July of 1711 visiting friends, came down very gravely ill with yellow fever. And at the point of death, he called an attorney friend of his to his bedside named John Morgan, and they hastily drafted a will. And in that will, he stated that if he did not make it, he wanted his son and wife to have the land that he currently owned in North Carolina along Bathtown Creek in Bath, North Carolina. And he died. And after that, there's no record of anyone else that lived on this land other than his widow and his son after he came home from the War of Spanish Succession. So, who was the man here dying? His name was James Beard. Yeah, we think that Blackbeard's real name might have actually been Edward Beard. Now, why do we think that Edward Beard, his son, was actually the pirate Blackbeard? Well, it's because after the war, when he gets home, they find themselves in horrible financial shape in North Carolina. But the governor finds out something had happened off the coast of Florida in 1715 that might actually bail them out. A fleet of Spanish ships had sunk along about a 40-mile stretch of Florida coast near the area of Sebastian Inlet. And in the letter that he received about this shipwreck, he found out these ships were laden with gold and silver. So he calls in his next door neighbor, Edward, and says, listen, we need your help. Me and some of the boys have pooled some money together to help you to put a crew together and get you a ship. We need you to go down to Florida and go on a wrecking mission and steal as much of that silver and gold as you can. So Edward Beard and a group of these men took off and headed down to Florida to go wrecking. But unfortunately, he happened to have been chased off by a Spanish battleship, and he ended up down in Nassau. Now, we know that they lived in North Carolina, but when did the Beards move to North Carolina? That's where it also got interesting. Because we learned that before they even moved to North Carolina, and now Edward has been sent on his mission to go wrecking some Spanish gold, the land that they moved to in 1705 was actually found for them by a friend they had here in Charlestown by the name of Robert Daniel. The man Daniel Island is named after. Well, Daniel had moved to North Carolina from the Goose Creek area. And so his next door neighbor, James, in Goose Creek, had said, look out for me when you get to North Carolina. And he helped secure him some land. Now what does all that mean? That means that we know Blackbeard died in 1718 at the age of 28. And if you do some math, that will put James and Elizabeth Beard giving birth to their bouncing baby boy that became known as Blackbeard when they were living in the the area of what is now Goose Creek, South Carolina. So yeah, we think he might even be a homeboy. So now, he's gone to Florida at the behest of the governor, his neighbor, and gotten chased off. And we know that he ended up in Nassau, and that's where he met Benjamin Hornigold and became an outright pirate. He sailed with Hornigold for a year, but then the gang that he sailed with broke up. Hornigold was going to take the king's pardon, and Blackbeard decided he wanted to continue on his way as a pirate. And that is when he ended up meeting a man by the name of Stede Bonnet. I'm Eric with Charleston Pirate Tours. This story will continue later. Happy birthday, Charleston.